Okay, so we are with this mechanism. I'll just highlight this mechanism with actually what we are supposed to see. This is the fixed link over here. So I'm just drawing the mechanism that we are actually considering. Other lines are all a part of construction. Okay, so this red color thing, whatever I highlighted, that is nothing but our main concern mechanism. That is A, B. I'm sorry, I just made a mistake. It's A, B, and B to C. Then again, we have this C to D, and AD is a link which is fixed. Okay, so this is the mechanism which we are concerned now. Now, for this, the link AB, which is the crank, hence it is also named as a driver link over here. Let us assume that it is rotating with the torque of T2. 2 stands for the link number 2. Okay. Similarly, because of this input torque given to the driver, we are having the output link here, that is CD, which I have termed it as driven link. So the output torque on this I have termed it as T4. Remember, the input torque and the output torque are not same. That's why their names are different. It is T2 and T4. Okay. Some of the torque from input to output, it will be reduced because of the joint and the friction created at those joints. Okay, so this is our base construction. Now what we have done is, for the link BC, to understand what mechanical advantage is, I'll just first complete this diagram construction, then we'll go for the definition. The link BC is extended so that it will meet the horizontal link or the fixed link at point P as shown in this figure. And then from point A and D, we have dropped a perpendicular line to this newly constructed line. So you can see that from point A, I have dropped a perpendicular line so that it will meet at B dash. And from D, I have dropped a perpendicular line so that it meets at C dash. Okay. So this is the initial construction that we need to do. With this given construction, of course, I am again repeating these diagrams in the next slide also. Now let us understand what mechanical advantage is. It's very simple. It's the ratio of output torque to the necessary input torque. Okay. So coming back to this diagram. So what I'm going to get mechanical advantage. I'm just going to write short form mechanical advantage MA. As per this diagram, it is the ratio of output torque, that is T4, to the necessary input torque T2. Okay, so I have always said that the output torque will be slightly lesser than the input torque because some torque will be absorbed due to the friction at the joints. So this ratio will always be less than 1. Okay, T4 is less than T2, hence the entire ratio will be less than 1. Okay, so we are having the definition here. It is a ratio of output torque to the necessary input torque of a given mechanism. Now, why this mechanical advantage has to be found out? Okay, because it can be used as an index of merit to judge the ability of the mechanism to transmit the torque or power. Okay, so the ability of the mechanism to transmit the torque. So we can index this merit by using the mechanical advantage. That means since it is always less than 1, so the percentage, in terms of percentage, the mechanical advantage will be say somewhere around 80%, 90%, 70%, and so on. It can never be more than 100, or nor it can be equal to 100 also. Mechanical advantage is always less than 1. So in terms of percentage, so this entire thing you will have to multiply by 100. So you'll get in terms of percentage. So how we are going to use this to judge or to identify the good mechanism? So a mechanism which is having highest or higher mechanical advantage, or the percentage is higher, then the mechanism is preferred because the transmission of torque and or power is as close to 100%. Okay, if any mechanical advantage having the transmission less than 50 or 40 or something, then there's a lot of problem in transmission of power, so we need to avoid such mechanisms. Hence, we need to understand the concept of this mechanical advantage. I hope this is clear why we need to focus on this mechanical advantage. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the equation or derivation point of view, referring to this diagram, referring to this diagram, though the torque is going to vary from input to output under equilibrium conditions, I am going to equate the power of input and output here. So I'm going to equate the power at the input and output. So we are having this equation 2 pi nt upon 60, that is the equation of power, should be equal to 2 pi n t2 upon 60. Okay. So here I'll just replace this 2 pi n upon 60 by omega, like this. So 4 will remain as it is on LHS, and 2 pi n upon 60 will become omega 4. Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. Similarly, on the RHS, we have T2 as it is, that is retained, and 2 pi n upon 60, now it is termed as omega 2. Okay, since this RHS is associated with second link, so we are going to get T2 and omega 2, number 2 on RHS, and on LHS it will be the output link, so we are getting T4 and omega 4. Okay, now I'll just rearrange the terms, that is I'm going to bring this T2 on LHS, so we are going to get the ratio of T4 upon T2, which will be equal to omega 2 upon omega 4. So I hope this equation is clear. Just a very simple arrangement, equations of power and rearranging terms. You are going to get this ratio of output torque to the input torque. And as per our definition, the ratio of this output torque to the input torque, this is nothing but our mechanical advantage. So from the diagram, I've come to this equation, where in mechanical advantage, I'm going to tell it as omega 2 upon omega 4. Okay. Having said this, okay, that's what is written here, mechanical advantage. I'm going to getting it as omega 2 upon omega 4. Now, I hope you can see the diagram clearly over here. I'm going to use the similar triangle concept. Which two triangles I'm going to consider is, one is PCD, the bigger triangle, and the second triangle, let me highlight it with the different colors, P, B, and A. So I'm going to consider these two similar triangles, and I'm going to equate the ratios of the length of these particular triangles. That is, see here, for the bigger triangle, CD link is representing T4. Similarly, AB link for a smaller triangle is representing T2. I'm going to take this ratio equal to the other length segments. That is, for bigger triangle, I'm going to take, okay, I'm sorry, I just will reconsider this similar triangles. I'll just draw it once again. I think it is, yeah, P, B dash, and A. This is one triangle. I'll show the second triangle, that will be P, C dash, and D. So I'm sorry for this confusion. These are the two triangles. So as per that, T4 upon T2. So for this bigger triangle, for T4, I'm taking associated as C dash D, as shown over here. And for the torque T2, we are taking the associated length or the link, that is B dash A, as shown over here. So with this, we'll now understand what is this sine gamma over here. Okay, so sine gamma, if I use this particular triangle, so I'll just highlight this triangle over here. Okay, so sine gamma will be opposite, that is c dash d upon hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is cd because this particular line is perpendicular, so even this is a 90-degree angle. So sine gamma we are going to get it as c dash d upon cd. Similarly, sine beta, please note that this is a beta, not sine gamma, so I think I have made a mistake. Okay, sine beta over here for this triangle over here, it is opposite, that is b dash a upon hypotenuse, that is ba. Okay, so from these two equations, that is say equation number 1, this is equation number 2, from equation number 1 what I'm going to get is I'm going to get c dash d as sine gamma into cd, so I can replace this over here. Similarly, from equation 2 I'll get b dash a, which is equal to sine beta into ba. This I can replace it over here. So using these two equations, I'll replace that in the main equations. So what we are going to get is T4 upon T2 will be CD sine gamma divided by BA or AB sine beta. So I hope this is clear to you. If you have any doubts, please let me know. This is a very simple derivation. At the end, you have to just reach this particular equation. Okay. Now here, this particular angle gamma, which is the angle between the coupler link and the output link, that is the angle between BC and CD. This angle is known as transmission angle. Okay. Now coming back to this earlier slide, look at this final equation that we have got. T4 upon T2. T4 upon T2 is nothing but mechanical advantage, right? Ratio of output torque divided by ratio input torque. So this mechanical advantage, I'm getting it as CD sine gamma upon BA sine beta. Now can you guys tell me what will happen if the gamma values goes on reducing and it becomes 0? If gamma values goes on reducing and if it becomes 0, then the numerator part will be sine 0, that is 0. So your entire mechanical advantage will become equal to 0. So that's what I'm going to explain in the next slide. In terms of beta, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let me bring this equation here. So with this equation in the previous slide, we had got the mechanical advantage over here. So now I'm just highlighting the beta part, that is the denominator, not gamma, the beta part. So what happens when beta is 0 or 180 degrees? So we are going to get sine 0 as 0 or sine 180 as 0 in the denominator. So if denominator is 0, then the entire equation will become infinite. That means the mechanical advantage of a mechanism will become infinite. So this particular concept wherein the mechanical advantage is becoming infinite is known as toggle position. Okay, so this is toggle position. When I'm considering the denominator beta, when it becomes 0, but that is when beta is 0 or when beta is 180, the mechanical advantage becomes infinite, and this is known as toggle position. Similarly, let us talk about gamma now. So I've written mechanical advantage diminishes, or diminishes means reduces, when gamma is much less than right angle. Okay. So again, in the previous equation, let us focus on the numerator now. Mechanical advantage is maximum only when this gamma is 90, because sine 90 is 1, that is the maximum value of sine value. So when gamma is 90, you are going to get mechanical advantage as maximum. As and when it reduces the angle from 90, the mechanical advantage will also go on reducing. Okay, so that is what we have written here. Mechanical advantage reduces when gamma is less than right angle or 90 degrees. This is a very important point. If gamma becomes too small, let us say now the angle of gamma is just say 10 degrees or 20 degrees. In that case, the mechanical advantage will also become too small. And for such small mechanical advantage, even a small amount of friction will lock the entire mechanism. I hope you are able to understand this. Okay, so for a mechanism to lock 100%, okay, for a mechanism to lock 100%, your mechanical advantage must be zero. To lock your entire mechanism, mechanical advantage must be zero. But even in case the mechanical advantage is not zero, but it is extremely small value, that is if gamma is only 10 degrees or 20 degrees, even in this case, the mechanical advantage will be further small, and even a small amount of friction at the particular joint, say that is B and C, these friction will be sufficient to overcome the smaller value of mechanical advantage, and which will again further result this to zero. So please note this point, that mechanical advantage can be zero when the entire mechanism is locked. That is when entire gamma is zero, or even if gamma is extremely small, the mechanism will get locked because of the existing friction. Hence, based on experimentation, it is found out that for a 4-bar linkage, it should never be used wherever the gamma is less than 45 degrees. So I guess now you are understanding that we are finding out the first important point of mechanism design. You are supposed to design a machine, you know the constraints, size and everything, you know how the what is the size available for you to place the mechanism over there. So under that particular condition, if you are placing the mechanism such that the gamma is getting less than 45 degrees, then you are not supposed to use this 4-bar linkage. You are supposed to go for other mechanism, because you can justify and you know the reason that if it is less than 45, there is a possibility that the mechanism can get locked. Okay, so I'll just take a small pause over here. Let me know if you have any doubts. I'll clear that and then we'll proceed. If you want me to repeat any particular slide or any particular concept, I can do that. If you understood, just put a message in chat box so that at least I'll proceed.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So, I am not getting the proper definition for mechanical advantage. Like I understood it is a ratio of the output to input torque, but I am just confused with what it is exactly.
Okay. Okay. Not an issue. Not an issue. So let me just draw one mechanism over here. Okay. And let me take one more example. Something like this. Okay. So just this is the example 1 and example 2 of mechanism. So here in the first example, let us say that the input torque over here, say it is 10 Newton meter. I'm going to give the input torque as 10 Newton meter. And when you measure the output torque, okay, output torque of this particular link, suppose you are finding it as 5 Newton meters. This is case 1. Okay, let us come to case number 2. You are going to give the input torque as 10 newtons, And when you measure the output torque, you are going to get answer as 8 Newton meter. Okay. So in both of these cases, now we'll use the concept of mechanical advantage as the tool to judge which mechanism is going to be better. So in the first case, what is the mechanical advantage? It is the ratio of output torque to the input torque. That means it will be 5 by
50%.
10. Okay. So if you take in terms of percentage, then this is 50%. Similarly, if you take the second example, mechanical advantage is the ratio of output torque to the input torque. So this I'm going to get in terms of percentage as 80%. That means 80% of the power or torque is being transmitted to the output link in case number 2. Whereas in case number 1, only 50% of the torque is being transmitted and remaining 50% is being lost or it's being absorbed by the friction at these particular joints. Okay. So maybe the links and the joints are not properly designed, due to which there's a lot of friction and the torque is getting diminished over there. So what you get at the end is only 50% of the torque. Okay. So I hope now your answer is clear. The
Yes, sir.
doubt is clear.
Yes, sir.
Any other doubts? Okay. So no doubt. So from exam point of view, for mechanical advantage, you need to have this particular drawing. I'll be sharing this PPT with you guys. Uh, then you need the definition of this, that is, it is the ratio of output to input torque. Then this small derivation is required, wherein you are going to get the mechanical advantage as T4 upon T2, which is equal to omega 2 upon omega 4. Then using the similar triangles, you can get this equation, that is CD sine gamma upon BA sine beta. So here you have to just describe 2 points. What will happen when beta is 0 and what will happen when gamma is 0. Okay. So if beta is 0, then mechanical advantage becomes infinite. It's known as toggle position. If gamma becomes a 0, then the mechanism will get seized or locked. There won't be any motion. Okay. So these two things you'll have to explain. That's all. Here, this is for the first one, toggle position. And in the second slide, I have explained how it will lock the mechanism. That's all. So I hope this concept is clear. We'll now start with the unit number 2. So this has completed unit number 1. So I'll be starting with unit number 2 now. Uh, is supposed to be very interesting. Unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. Okay. So the title of this particular unit is known as synthesis of linkages. Okay, so this is unit number 2. So to proceed with this unit, I need to first understand exact meaning of this word, synthesis. I already described you in the earlier classes. I'm going to compare here two terminologies. One is known as analysis. Second one is known as synthesis. Okay, the first statement says that in kinematic analysis, okay, in analysis, we determine the performance of given mechanism. When I use the word given mechanism, that means the mechanism has all the dimensions that you need. Just let me refresh your memories of third or fourth semester. I have a mechanism over here. Okay. So the input crank, say it is of 40 mm. The connecting rod or the connecting link is of 60 mm. The output link is given as 80 mm. This position is say given as 40 degrees. So now if you remember, with all these data, And also, yeah, the RPM of this input link, say it was 100 RPM. With all this given data, you are supposed to find out the velocity of these two links, velocity and acceleration. I hope you are remembering this. You are asked to find out to determine the velocity and acceleration, whether it is angular velocity or linear velocity. You are supposed to find out with this given data. So here the mechanism, you are not designing it. The mechanism was already designed. That means already dimensions were there. The angle was mentioned. At this given instant, you are supposed to find out its performance. So analysis means you are actually determining the performance of a given mechanism. So whatever you have done in those previous semester classes with respect to this subject, you actually done the analysis. Now, if I come to synthesis, then in kinematic synthesis, what we are doing is we are actually designing the mechanism for the given performance. So in here the performance is given to you now. In this subject, we will be giving you the performance, what is expected, based on which you are supposed to design a mechanism. Just say, for example, I want a mechanism such that when the crank makes one rotation, I want the slider to move by 5 centimeters, something like this. So this is a slider crank mechanism. Okay. So when this particular crank rotates and makes one complete rotation, I want this slider to translate in x-axis, say by 5 centimeters. This is the performance. So to obtain this performance, you need to identify what should be the length of this, what should be the length of this, what should be the distance between these two at the initial condition. So all these things which you need to determine, that is called as synthesis of mechanism. So I hope the concept is clear. Now this throughout this subject, you are going to do the same thing. The performance will be given based on which you are going to synthesize or design the mechanism. Is it clear? Okay. So there are three different categories, or you can say three different areas of this synthesis. Just let me write this. Synthesis and design are one and the same. Okay. Areas of synthesis or areas of design. The first one is known as type synthesis. Then second one is number synthesis. Third one is dimension synthesis. There are only three categories, and in this subject, we are only focusing on dimension synthesis. But we still need to know what is this number and what is this type synthesis. We still need to know this, but we'll be only focusing on this third part. So let us go through all these three things one by one. In type synthesis, we have the performance given to us. For this particular performance, we need to finalize, or we need to choose what type of mechanism is suitable for this. That means for the performance given, I need to understand whether I'm going to use a gear mechanism, whether I'm going to use a cam mechanism, whether I'm going to use the belts, whether I'm going to use pulleys, etc. and so on. Say a simple example. You have two-wheeler bikes, so you can take any bike, say Pulsar or anything Apache. You can see the mode of transmission of power over there. It is through the chain drive. That is, we are having a chain sprocket assembly. Okay. Now, if you take another two-wheeler, say for example Honda Activa, we don't have a chain transmission over there. Instead of that, what we are having is a belt transmission. So in these two vehicles, they have focused on this type synthesis. So for one vehicle, they have chosen the type or mode of transmission as chain. For the other one, they have chosen the type as belt drive. I hope the concept is clear. So the second category is number synthesis. So here again, for a given required performance, one has to choose or understand how many number of links are required and what should be the degree of freedom required to obtain the given performance. Okay, so for a particular given mechanism, like we had solved one degree of freedom problem, if you remember, of Caesar mechanism, right? I hope you guys remember the Caesar mechanism. So to obtain to for that performance, depending upon how much height or how much the distance a particular link has to move, we can choose how many number of links it can have. So for the example that we had taken, I guess number of links were 18 there for the Caesar mechanism, which we had chosen. So depending upon the application, if the mechanism has to move only for a shorter distance, I need not have 18 links. I can have the same Caesar mechanism with only 6 links also. So there the number of links is coming into picture. Similarly, we also have to choose the degree of freedom. Wherever we are doing these two choices, it is known as number synthesis. So just for example, over here in the first case, number of links are 3, that is one is fixed. This is second link, this is third link. Since only 3 links are there, obviously degree of freedom is 0. So it says it requires 0 inputs for the control. There's no degree of freedom only, so there's no question of mechanism. Let us take the second one. For the second one, there are 4 links. Okay, one is the fixed link, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth. So obviously this link is our input link or the crank, and the angle they have shown it by psi over here. That means it says it requires only one input to control the entire mechanism. What is that one input? Rotation of this crank about z axis. Okay, if I take the third example over here, we are having 5 links. Okay, for the 5 links we are getting degree of freedom as 2. You can solve the same problem using the Grubler's equation. Okay, so one input is this psi, another one is this phi or phi. So it says that it requires 2 inputs to control this entire mechanism. If I just rotate this particular link, then maybe this link will not move at all. Okay, so to move the entire mechanism, I need to have 2 inputs, one is psi and one is phi over here. So this is the number synthesis, wherein we are dealing with only the number of links and degrees of freedom. Coming to our major point, that is dimension synthesis. It deals with the determination of dimensions of individual links. Okay, so we are only focusing on this last part. For a given performance, they will be mentioning you what type of or how many number of links you are supposed to take, whether you are supposed to go for a 4-bar crank rocker or whether you are supposed to go for a 4-bar slider crank mechanism. That will be mentioned in the performance itself. So given all that, we are only supposed to find out the dimensions of the links over here. So this subject is all about this one sentence: determination of dimensions of individual links. Why do you need the entire subject just for this? Because we are understanding different methods of doing these things. Depending upon the constraints and applications, we have to choose different methods. Just show you in the next slide. So this is our entire subject over here. Function generation. This is function generation means based on the performance, we can design the mechanism in 2 different ways. The first one is graphical synthesis or graphical designing, purely constructional. So your chapter number 2 and chapter number 3 or unit 2 and unit 3 are purely based on graphical synthesis. Okay, and we also have analytical synthesis. This is only unit number 4, wherein we are doing the same things whatever you are done in the graphical method, same problems will be solving by using analytical method. Okay, so in graphical method also we are having 2 types: invention method, relative pole method. Of course we are not using this relative pole method, we are only using the invention method over here. So this graphical and analysis together, we are only focusing on these 2 mechanisms: 4-bar mechanism and slider crank mechanism. Okay, so as I said, the type synthesis, that is which type of mechanism you are supposed to use, and number synthesis, that is the number of links. Everything is already decided over here. We need not worry about type and number synthesis. We are only worried or concerned about the dimension synthesis. So this is the overall picture of this particular subject which we are going to start now. If you have any doubts, please let me know. No doubts. If you don't have any doubts, then we'll stop this class. But what I request you guys to do is from the next class, it will be problem solving, more of a construction type. So I will be doing all the construction based on the software, but you guys need to do it in your book. So request everyone to have a dedicated book on the for this subject, preferably a blank, that's not a rolled pages, blank pages, and be ready with your geometry set. We'll be starting with the problems in the next class. I don't remember what question I asked, but in the chat box, few students are saying yes, sir. Few students are saying no, sir. What does it mean? For which question you're answering?
Sir, like, did you understood or not? You asked that one, so the students are replying.
Okay. For doubts, they are saying no, and whether you understood or not, they are saying yes. Got it. So if you don't have any doubts, you can leave the classroom. I've taken the attendance. Okay. Thank you.